this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Work can be a little weird. Cringy training seminars, coworkers who won't stop talking about their plant, forgetting the mute button at an inopportune moment. We have to deal with a lot on any given workday. Sometimes it can feel hard to thrive and move forward in your career. Well, that's where LinkedIn comes in. LinkedIn helps you get ideas and insights from experts in your field, connect with people professionally, grow your network, and access tools designed to help you find the right fit for your next role. Whether you're just getting started, figuring out your next move, or looking to accelerate your career, LinkedIn is built to support you at every stage because LinkedIn is the network that works for you. Visit linkedin.com/knowstuff to learn more. Hey, and welcome to the Short Stuff. I'm Josh, and there's Chuck, and Jerry's here too, sitting in for Dave. And this is Short Stuff, kind of sports related, but real pop culture, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, because if you grew up in the 70s and 80s and you were a sports fan, in particular a baseball fan of Major League Baseball here in the United States, then no doubt at some point you either saw on the news or saw live during a game a woman run out onto the baseball field and chatted up for a moment with a professional baseball player and then kissed them on the cheek and then run back to the stands waving at least for a while until she started getting arrested for doing this.
Right.
And that was Morganna the Kissing Bandit.
Yeah. Apparently she was born Nancy Lee Rose in Louisville, Kentucky. She started lying about her age at a very young age, as we'll see, because she had a very difficult really rough adolescence. But she became so famous for this during the 70s and 80s that at one point Pete Rose said that he considered her bigger than any one baseball player in the whole game. Like, she was really, really famous for this. She was on Letterman, she was on Carson, and she was an exotic dancer by trade, by profession. And I saw, Chuck, that her act, I saw it described as part nudity, part comedy, which is kind of tough to pull off, if you ask me. But one of the things, in addition to running onto baseball fields, that she was known for, that was very attention-getting, was her bust. She was extraordinarily buxom. Apparently, she had a 60-inch bust that required an eye cup, and so that, combined with running onto the field at sporting events and kissing players, it really captured the attention of the American public.
Yeah, and, that's not the kind of thing we usually highlight when we're talking about women on the show, but you can't ignore that with Morganna the Kissing Bandit,
right? Most
notably because it comes up later in a potential defense in court, which, if you're wondering how in the world does that work, then you'll find out in Act 2.
And I think the fact that we mentioned it just goes to show how much you can't ignore it.
I hope so. She was introduced to baseball by her grandfather, who raised her. You said she had a rough childhood, which very sadly she did. She was a runaway at age 13. She was unhoused for a while. Eventually, she became an exotic dancer as a teenager. And in 1969, at Crossley Field during a Cincinnati Reds game, when she was 17, she was with a couple of friends sitting, near the field level, and all, the baseball players were checking these girls out because it was 1969, and that's what you did when you were a baseball player. You get a little bored in outfield and look to the stands at teenage girls, I guess. And everyone was sort of, the players were sort of paying them some attention, except for Pete Rose. And they were like, "What gives with this guy?" And her friend said, "Hey, I'll give you $5 if you run out on the field and, confront him." Which she did. Pete Rose played outfield at the time before his move to the infield. She ran out there. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Which part?
The outfield part.
Yeah. He was an outfielder at first, but
okay.
He played everywhere but I think shortstop and catcher and,
really?
And pitcher. Yeah. Anyway, Pete Rose had a brief chat with her. He was endorsing Ballpark Frank's hot dogs at the time, and she said, "Hey, I buy those hot dogs." Gave him a kiss on the cheek. He said, "You're nuts. You're going to get in trouble." But she didn't at the time. She went back to her seat, and security didn't come by. And she watched the rest of the game with her friends. And a sports writer in Cincinnati the next day dubbed her the Kissing Bandit.
Yeah, and a great example of her sense of humor. She said later that her career started with the bet from her friends, and Pete Rose's career ended with the bet because, of course, he got caught betting.
Hundreds of bets.
Right.
Yeah.
I say we take a break and we come back and talk a little more about Morganna and her prolific career.
Let's do it.
Stuff you should know. Hey everybody, we're here to talk to you about Wayfair, who believes that spaces should be functional, they should be comfortable, they should be well designed, and they can be well designed by you with their help.
Your updated space should feel more comfortable, inviting, and practical for everyday use. And we're talking about outdoor seating. We're talking about grills. We're talking about major appliances. If you need storage solutions, Wayfair can help you out. Patio lighting, rugs, decor. It is your one-stop shop for home.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting nice out, so it's time to think about living outdoors for the next few months. And Wayfair knows that outdoor furniture, it's heavy, it's intimidating to assemble. So Wayfair has stepped in and said, we're going to handle the hard part so you don't have to.
That's right. You can shop Wayfair Verified, your shortcut to the good stuff. And that means their team of product specialists are going to vet everything by hand using a 10-point inspection, testing things like, quality materials, functionality, and features, and even how long it takes to build that piece of furniture. And the overall experience save time, reduce hassle, and improved convenience.
Patio season is here, and these deals won't last. So head to wayfair.com right now to get your outdoor space ready for way less. That's WAYFAIR.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
In business, there's no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. When you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty.
That's right. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure, nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery.
You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets.
That's right. And that all adds up to predictable deliveries that you can depend on. Because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else, your customers, your team, and the future that you're building. Just visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS Ground Advantage. All right, so Morganna is kissing athletes all over the place. She's getting more and more famous. I mentioned that, she did this with most of the sports, but baseball was her number one love. But she would show up at a NASCAR race. She'd kiss an NBA player. She'd go to an NFL game. She went to NHL games. I don't know if she kissed a horse or a jockey, but she did this at a horse race once. Apparently, George Brett sort of got back at her in a playful way when he showed up at the club where she was dancing and jumped up on stage and kissed her.
Yeah, he got it twice, I think, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think he might have been one of the only ones that she got twice, which is why he got her back. And like I said, she was prolific, right? I think between 1969 and 99, pretty sure this was Sports Illustrated who came up with this stat, she kissed over 50 athletes, not to mention managers, umpires, and mascots, including the San Diego Chicken, who just keeps popping up again and again in Stuff You Should Know episodes lately.
Weirdly.
And I think this one was from our friends at Grunge. They said that her presence often doubled the number of fans in the stands. Like, she was really well known, and she would announce where she was going, what game she was going to attend, and people would just show up because you wanted to see that kind of thing in addition to a game. So there was, from what I can tell, and correct me if I'm wrong, there was a love-hate relationship with her because she would disrupt games.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she would fill, double the attendance at a stadium when she said that she was going to a game,
Yeah, it was this weird cultural moment in time where someone got really famous for doing something just sort of unusual and something that a lot of people did. Like these days when you see somebody run down on a field, especially since the stabbing of Monica Seles on the tennis court years ago.
Oh, yeah.
This is all sort of scary stuff, and you never know what someone's going to do. When Hank Aaron hit his home run, the guys ran down on the field and, were patting him on the back. But that was sort of the first, like, oh boy, what's happening here? Like these white guys are rushing, the black man who broke the white guy's record.
Oh, is that what changed things, that particular incident?
Well, that was what first started. I mean, Morganna came after this, so it clearly didn't change that much.
Oh, okay.
I think Monica Seles is what really, really changed it, because that was an actual act of violence. Everyone else had good intentions. But these days when somebody rushes the field, it's usually a protester, and they usually get tackled in a pretty violent manner, and they won't show it on TV. Immediately, all cameras are directed to not show any of this stuff, so no one's incentivized to actually do this.
Right.
But not back then, man. Everyone, like, she was good for baseball,
She did have a few encounters with security that ended up pretty rough. There was one, I think the 1970 All-Star game in Cincinnati. The Reds management put a bounty on her, $100 to whoever could catch her, because she, I guess, had announced that she was coming. And they did catch her, and I guess they got her on the ground and the security started kicking her in the ribs.
That's ridiculous.
And broke 3 of her ribs.
Yeah, and I said that's ridiculous because it's different these days, and it is a genuine security risk because you never know what someone's going to do because the world is crazy now.
Yeah.
But back then, like, everyone knew who Morganna was. Everyone knew she was going to run out there. It would take less than a minute. She would kiss the player on the cheek, not even on the lips, because she didn't like the chewing tobacco in baseball. And there's absolutely no reason to throw this woman on the ground and kick her for sort of a minor disruption. This is a different time. So if people are like, oh, I don't know, man, you can't do something like that. Like, it's just different these days. Everyone knew her and knew she meant no ill will.
Yeah. But despite that, I mean, not just 3 broken ribs, she also suffered a broken kneecap once. She suffered a broken tailbone, all at the hands of security. But she just apparently shrugged it all off, because I read an interview with her from not too long ago where she chalked it up to rent-a-cops getting a little carried away. So I think she just kind of took this as like, it kind of goes along with it. It's going to happen from time to time. And she did get arrested quite a bit, but, usually without incident. There was one incident in particular when she rushed the field at an Astros game to kiss Nolan Ryan on the mound. He was on the pitcher's mound. She was kissing him on the cheek. And she was arrested, and she had to hire an attorney because she was called to defend herself in court, even though she didn't actually have to go through with it. It got far enough that she hired this one particular attorney. Yeah,
this guy, his name was Richard Haynes. They call him the racehorse. And he was, one of those sort of showboaty, would take wealthy clients accused of everything from murder to, embezzling and stuff like that. And apparently one time in court, he zapped himself with a cattle prod to prove that it wasn't a lethal weapon. So he was that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And this is where we mentioned that he used her bust size as part of the defense, because he was going to use the gravity defense, he called it, wherein he would argue that she would just lean over the railings as a sports fan, and that the weight of her bust would drag her over the rail onto the field. Mm-hmm. And I guess the court was like, oh boy, let's just drop the charges so we don't have to go through that.
Yeah, I think the Houston Sports Association got involved. They're like, this is not a good look for Houston, guys. Let's just drop this. So they did. And that was the one time where she had to go to court, or was called to court. But that just became part of her legend, too. The gravity defense, it's like you can't read an article about Morganna the Kissing Bandit and the gravity defense not get mentioned. It's just part of her legend.
Yeah, for sure.
And one of the other things I saw about her that I wanted to mention, Chuck, was she was apparently like very crafty. I saw it put that there was one time in particular, I think in 1986, she said publicly that she was going to kiss Don Mattingly of the Yankees. She was going to go to New York for a game. And so everybody was on high alert in New York. And while they were doing that, she flew to, I guess, Seattle to kiss the Mariners catcher, Steve Yeager. So she would use a little deflection and sleight of hand. She wasn't above that, which also, I mean, this lady was pretty cool.
That's right. Scottie Pippen of the Bulls was the last player to get that kiss, and that was in the early 90s. And then she was in the movie Kingpin, and in a cameo in 96. Retired officially in 2000, even though Scottie Pippen was years before that. But I don't think we mentioned she made millions of bucks off this persona.
Yeah.
But eventually, like all entertainers, even kind of oddball pseudo entertainers, has to leave eventually, and really went underground. And it's hard to find a lot of recent information about her, even though we think she is still alive, probably in her late 70s. But who knows? Because she's never been very truthful about her age.
You got anything else?
I got nothing else.
Great. Well, here's to Morganna the Kissing Bandit, one of the more interesting 20th century figures ever. Short Stuff, friends, is out.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.